up, y'all? This is your amazing, fantastical, exhilarating host, Bree Bethencourt, and we are here back again with another show. Dear future husband, y'all. Did y'all subscribe? Make sure you hit that button, follow, like, whatever it is, right? Share, do all the things, y'all. Dear future husband. Actually, it's Reality TV 1. Is actually the channel. So make sure you subscribe to Reality TV 1 and make sure that you never miss another Dear Future Husband show. So we got another one on the books, y'all. We have here today a couch full of beautiful ladies. And why? Because this is a cipher. You heard it here. You heard it here first, okay? This is the Dear Future Husband cipher. Dear future husband, forever ain't enough, right? And so we're going to get into it with these ladies. Come on, y'all. So, hi, y'all. How y'all doing?
Hello.
Thank you for being on the show.
Of course.
All right, so we got Sharita here. We got Kendra here. Yes. And we got Selena here, right? I know all these ladies on different levels, but I know all these ladies. This is not the first time that I'm seeing your beautiful faces. And again, thank you for being on here. Dear future husband, forever ain't enough. Okay? For those that are watching, I'm the only one that's sitting on the couch that's single, okay? Or that's not married, I should say, right? All these ladies are married, so we're going to get into it, y'all. I'm going to go down the line. I need y'all to tell me how long you've been married. First, let's start with that. Sharita, how long have you been married?
31 years.
Come on, 31. Come on, 31. I love it. Kendra.
Okay, since 2007.
What's the...
I do it that way so I don't have to, it don't make me feel old. So 2007.
Wait, what is...
Carry the one.
We'll come back with the math. Like, oh no. Like, how many is that? Okay. And how long you been married?
11 years.
Okay. So, Kendra, let's do this math, baby. Okay. How long? 16 years? Yeah, 16. Okay. So we got 31, 16, and 11.
Yeah.
Okay. Y'all saying, I didn't even know. I like it. Okay. Sharita, how did you meet?
Well, my husband and I met my senior year in high school.
Nice.
And we met through another young lady, and her husband and my husband were best friends.
Okay.
So they actually got married 6 months before we did.
Nice.
But that's how we met each other. And my husband said the first day that he met me, he told his friend that he was going to marry me.
Because they know. I don't care what nobody says. They know, y'all. Okay. Kendra, how did y'all meet?
Okay. I met my husband at a Super Bowl party.
Nice.
So, the Omegas, he's an Omega.
Okay.
So they have a Super Bowl party and they invite various people to the party. And I got invited by another Omega. And so that's how we met there.
That's awesome. Mm-hmm. Now, I looked at the camera when you said that because one of my first shows, actually my first 2 shows ever of Dear Future Husband season 1 was about football because it was football season.
Okay.
And a lot of the topic was surrounded around, at the time, I was like, do I need to go to Super Bowl parties to go meet a man? Like, is this a thing? Do men pay attention to you? You know what I'm saying? At the football games? Like, what's happening?
I think so.
I mean, clearly. They pay attention.
They pay attention. They play. People only really watch the commercials during the Super Bowl, right? It's just commercials. Mm-hmm. So you watch the commercial, you socialize, you have a good time. Mm-hmm. And actually, I did not meet him until after the game, after the game or whatever. So he told me he was watching me the whole time. So
nice.
Yeah, and so in my philosophy then, because I was like I felt like I was old. Okay. As far as I missed my prime of getting married. So my philosophy was I just gonna go and have a good time. It's not about me trying to go meet somebody or what have you. So so the DJ was doing his thing, and I would say, okay, the next song is for, I'm talking to the DJ, so he's way over here, and I'm yelling. So it was just about me having a good time, my crew having a good time and all that. So
we're going to come back to that about prime, ladies. We're going to come back to that about that prime age of what we think it is. Yeah. I like that. Okay. Selena, we got familiar with you on one of the previous shows, but I'd like for you to remind the people again, How did you guys meet?
I met my husband through his kind of similar to Sharita, is his best friend and my best friend at the time were siblings. Mm-hmm. And so, and I hadn't even been in Dallas at the time, in less than 2 years. Okay. And so she invited me, and I know James and others gonna have an issue with that, the producer. Shout out to Marble Tree Apartments in Irving, Texas, at the pool party. So that's where I met. That's where I met Ray. Uh-huh. I don't remember exactly what he was wearing. I just do remember his smile, and I remember he was cute. You know, just
But it was a 2-piece summer for you.
And it was a 2-piece summer for me. Like I had a swimsuit on, so. But
given.
I think so.
I mean, clearly.
But
you got married off it.
But we met, and that was it. And then we went on our lives, and then with life, he circled back around because the time he was in the Marines and he was coming back, wrapping down his career, and then went out again with the same friend, and hung out again with him, and then from there it's like I felt the need to call him every single day. Aww. From the time I met him. And, so that's how I knew him for a long time previously before we actually started dating.
Love it, ladies. Love it. Okay. So everybody's in different stages of their marriage because you all are married, but we have different stages, right? I don't know if we can call 11 years beginner, because it ain't. But we're different, 11, 16, and 31. Sharita, because I know a little bit about your story. I mean, we've talked. And I know that you pretty much grew up with your husband, pretty much, right? Because you met, like you said, in high school.
Yes.
So y'all grew up together.
We have been married longer than we lived before we got married.
That's crazy when you say it like that. That's yes. Crazy. Are you the same person that you were 31 years ago when you first married him?
The essence of who I am is still the same. Mm-hmm. So my core values, my character, that type of thing is still the same. But in some ways I'm different because I have grown throughout the seasons that we have been married. But I would say that the essence of who I am is still the same. And the things that I care about and my character is still the same.
Right.
But I have changed in some ways because, of course, when we got married, I was very young. There were a lot of things about my life path that I had not solidified at that time. Mm-hmm. Like I didn't know how many children did I want to have, or if I even wanted to have children, or what level of education I wanted to be in, and what my career would look like, and those kinds of things. So I have changed in that sense. But the essence of who I am, as far as like my character, being honest, being a hardworking person, and some of the things that I cared about, I'm still the same in that way.
I like it. All right. Kendra, let's talk about this prime.
Okay.
Let's talk about it.
Okay.
You said that at that time when you met your husband, you didn't think you were you think you had surpassed your prime age of getting married, of what society says is an acceptable age.
Right.
Let's talk about that because if I'm correct, that's what they used to call a spinster, right? Wasn't a spinster somebody that was a little overage from getting married? Ladies, chime in.
Late 20s, you considered a spinster at the time.
I guess it's the spinster, yeah.
That was the, that back in the day, it was the spinster, you know what I'm saying? Now it's like a cougar, I guess, but if you're dating,
fun,
And so what in your head, what was prime? What was the prime age?
Okay, so I based everything on what my friends did, right? So my friends got married at 24, 25.
Super young.
30.
Yeah.
I was in more weddings than I can count. Mm-hmm. I was at the point to where, please don't ask me to be in your wedding. Please.
You didn't want to be, okay.
Yeah, I didn't want to do the wedding. Not because, I done spent about $100 on, at that time, $100 on a dress.
Every dress,
so you like, and you like, I don't want to do no more weddings. I don't want to do no more weddings. I want to be a guest at your wedding, but not in,
in it.
Yeah. So that's how I based. I missed that prime. I missed that. So, and then you had the doctor telling you, hey, if you don't get pregnant by the time you're 36, it's it's all down here from there. So you need to get pregnant by 36. So you're trying to take all this information in, what to do with it. My life is not going the way everybody else is going. So I gotta find my own path. I'm not going down the same path. So I gotta find out not who I am, because I know who I am. I just who I am by myself, if that makes sense.
Right. But I'm assuming because you were older, you kind of had the time, right? You've had that time to determine, I guess more than your friends did who married at 25, to kind of determine and figure out who you were, right?
Right.
More so than your peers, right?
Right.
Because you married a little bit later. And the only reason I'm bringing this up is because I am, I'm 42 years old, and I'm unmarried. I don't know that I sit in, so I guess my friends is regular child, because it's only, one of us just now getting married in June, July, so according to my friends, I guess I'm right on time. Because then, we all of us, listen, all of us, the whole group, we might need to go to group therapy, child, because the whole group of us.
It's not married.
Baby, the first one getting married in June. The first one. And we all, now, and I'm the youngest one. So everybody else is 43, 44.
Oh, gotcha.
And
it makes me, maybe that's where the saga started. But
baby,
but mine, it was
right,
like everybody, you just, I'm getting married. Now they some of them on their second marriage.
Okay.
But what have you? But yeah, but
I can see how that would make you feel if all your close friends around you are getting married.
You hanging hard. You going to the parties, and all of a sudden it's like somebody was taking a shotgun and just shooting them one by one,
and missing you completely.
Well, no, I'm talking about my friends are just dropping off. That's how I felt. They're dropping off. We're not hanging no more. We're not going nowhere no more. It's no spontaneous actions no more. None of that's happened.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Then we may come back to that. That's interesting. Yes. Ladies, do you have anything to add to the? Listen, you got snatched up pretty quickly.
Hey, I've been out the game a long time. I never even got. I never even got in the game.
That part, you was never in the game.
I never even got in the game. So.
You were snatched up early.
Yes.
But I'm sure you've had conversations with somebody at some point about not being married, right? You have somebody around that hasn't been married.
Most of my friends have never been married. And a lot of my friends don't have children.
Okay.
So in most of my circle, I am the only person that is married and have children and has grandchildren, actually, at this point. So, yeah, I hear a lot of my friends that have the same conversations that you do. Because of my marital status and the fact that I have children and I have grandchildren, my relationships with my friends look different because there are certain things and activities that they're involved in that I'm not involved in, and there are activities and things that I'm involved in that they're not involved in. Although we do still support each other and the things that are important to us as friends, there are a lot of things that that we're doing in our day-to-day life that just don't really coincide with each other. So,
well, you see that statement that you made brings up a question in my head. So I'm gonna go ahead and ask Selena. Selena, as a married woman, are there activities, and ladies chime in with this, okay? Are there activities that is appropriate that you say, single friends, that's not appropriate for me to join in on with you with this activity? Is there anything like that? Does that exist to you?
I think it's all about the scene, right? It's also about your personal interest, right? Mm-hmm. Like I'm good for a brunch, hanging out, good for, a girls trip, etc. But I think what I always fall back on is what I'm doing or what somebody's inviting me to do. Would I want my husband doing the same thing? So if you have to, if you have to question it, But then I also have friends, like you're my friend. I have several friends that are single and thriving. But I have you have to have friends that respect your space, just like you respect their space. And I think that's kind of what you have to lean into. And to Kendra's point, like I just think society pushes women to they be validated by having a husband. Like you're not validated as a woman unless you have a husband. Like even when I got married, we were trying to have our son, right? We had a long road before he got here. And like, I went in there and, I'm in the high risk category at the time. Like at the time, I think I was like 37 and he was like, the doctor was like, well, your ovaries are 38. And you tall, you old, you black. I mean, I was like seen from The Color Purple. I'm like, should I leave? Am I?
Wait, you tall?
Yeah, you tall? That's because there's a higher risk for losing a child based on height.
I didn't know that. That part I didn't know. I knew about the age.
All of that, and I was just like, and I mean, even when my son was born, I mean, people didn't know if I was his mama. There's him right there. Get him. You mama? Yeah. They didn't know. They didn't know when I was going to the daycare. So I'm just saying, like, there's this vibe of society pushing women to like be married by a certain time, have kids by a certain time.
And if you're not, there's something wrong with you.
Yeah, they looking at you sideways. And even if you meet me and they might, if you're not married or something, they make the first time like, oh, what's wrong with you? But a man could be
that's the first question.
50 years old.
It really is.
And never been married, and it's fine. Nobody is like asking
what's wrong with you.
Yeah.
And that is so true. Y'all, I have, when I was in them dating streets, you're absolutely right. Are you married? No. Have you ever been married? No. What's wrong with you? That's the first thing. So they started side-eyeing me like, there's something wrong with you because, and I was like, why something got to be wrong with me? Yeah. Well, why nobody ever married you? Have you ever thought that I didn't want to marry them? Has that ever been a thought? Like, I have a choice in this too.
Or maybe you just don't want to be married.
Or I don't want to be married.
That's okay too.
Well, I wanted to be married. I'm not going to marry any old thing though. That's what I wasn't going to do. You know what I'm saying? And so they do ask you that. And then about the kids, you're right. Like, I was high risk too. I was high risk for several things. I didn't know I was high risk because I was tall, baby. Nobody. Doctor failed to tell me that part. But I was high risk I guess it didn't matter. I was high risk regardless of what I did. I was old, baby. You old, you black, and you ugly.
Right, I'm like.
Be like, wait a minute. And so you're right. And even that looks different having a child at an older age. And then people be like, so do you want another one? There's no way. I can't do it. I mean, I can, but I can't. I'm old.
Yeah, no.
I'm old.
Right.
You need a whole back. You need a whole back to carry a child. I don't have a back no more.
And two good hips. Like, my hips.
That's a means to carry that joker around. I ain't gonna do that. So, my child be like, I want a brother or sister. And I'm like, the best I can do is a fish. Like, that's it. I buy you a fish and then we call it a name. You know what I'm saying? And that's it. That's where we at. So, anyway.
That's a whole situation.
That's a whole situation, baby. I ain't carrying no more kids. And so, that's very interesting. Ladies, going back, do you have anything to say about any activities that you feel like are inappropriate for you to be involved in with your single friends?
I think if you like at a party and you're by yourself and everybody's in that mood and let's say we hunching or we dancing or you doing your thing or whatever and be like, okay.
Preparing for the hunching.
No, really, because I've been in that situation. I was like,
then we hunching in the middle of public.
At a house party. Let's say at a house party. Okay. At a house party. At a house party. And you got a house party.
Okay.
Yeah,
I love her. You just don't be ready, girl. You better be ready.
Okay. So if you're at a house party with all that happening, then what? That's inappropriate for you to be at that party?
Because like she said, if my husband was there and I walk in like,
It's questionable. Like, what's happening here?
What are you enjoying watching this, or what
Or you
we doing?
participating?
Right. So there's a question,
Okay.
but as you get to know your husband and grow with him, you're like, okay, no, that's not. If you catch him in a situation, and I don't mean catch him like doing something inappropriate, but the situation is inappropriate. You don't even guess that anymore.
That he will be participating,
right,
because you know him,
right,
and you know that he wouldn't be doing that.
Right.
Okay, so I'm gonna say that your answer is there's pretty much nothing, because there's no hunching parties that I know of, right? So aside from hunching parties, you can pretty much do everything that your friends can do, pretty much.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, because you pick your friends by their character,
right?
You know what I'm saying? Your friends, if he had friends that say, "Hey man, let's go here," he's gonna say, "I can't." He'll say, "I can't do it."
Okay.
He'll say, "No, that's not my scene."
I like that.
Though. Yeah,
I like that.
So
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. What about you, ma'am?
I don't know if it's necessarily activities, more so behaviors. So, for instance, I went on a girls' trip to Mexico with two of my girlfriends who are single.
Mm-hmm.
So there were certain things and activities that my friends did that I didn't participate in, because I just didn't think that it was appropriate for me to participate in. So past a certain time of night, my friends were like partying all night, and they were, dancing with men and just, doing things that single people do, drinking, hanging out with men, being flirty, and that type of thing, and engaging in things that single women do. And so past a certain time, I just let them go out and do what they did.
That makes sense.
And I stayed at the hotel.
Yeah.
Or sometimes during the day, they would go to like day parties, like swim parties, and that type of thing. And it's not that it's inappropriate for me to go to a swim party.
I was gonna say, because
no, it's not that it's inappropriate.
Tell me the rules, baby, because I didn't.
No, it's not that it's inappropriate for me to go. It's just that if I were to go to the swim party, there are just certain activities that I would not engage in at the party. You know what I mean? Like, I wouldn't be engaging men in a certain way.
Yes.
At the swim party.
But at anywhere, right? Like
anywhere. Anywhere. I just wouldn't engage, because people will just assume that because we're all together that we're all single.
Yeah.
So I always need to make it clear, like, we're together, but they're single and I'm not single. So I'm not I'm not engaging in certain behavior with them. So I wouldn't say that there were activities that they were doing that were inappropriate for me to go to. It's just that my behavior would be different from theirs when I would go to those activities.
I like that distinction though, because you're right. Like it's they can do it, but I cannot, like how you're saying you wouldn't even hang out past a certain time just to not give the impression of, right?
Yeah.
Now, what if it was like you going out to a club with your girls? Because the club don't close till 2. I mean, what's your time? What time you going home?
To be honest with you, I just don't go to clubs. Like, that's just not that's not my scene. It's never been my scene to really like go to clubs and that kind of thing. And let me just say this, my husband and I, we don't have a relationship where we tell each other, where we treat each other like children. Okay. Like, we don't treat each other like children and say, oh, you have a curfew and you need to be home by this certain time. Okay. So I don't want to give the impression that that's, what we do. But we do communicate with each other about the things that we are doing. So, for instance, if I were going to go somewhere with my girlfriends and I was going to be out later than I thought I was going to be out, then I would call him and say, hey, this is where I am, and we're going to hang out a little bit later, later. Yeah. And it's going to be a little bit later when I get home.
That's respect.
It's not so much like I'm asking him for permission for me to be able to, stay out past a certain time, but I am going to communicate with him that this is what's happening. This is like what my moves are for the, I
feel like that's respectful though. Yeah. And so what I see a lot on social media is we have gotten away from boundaries, having boundaries, setting boundaries and being respectful, to where now it's all like, well, he's not going to control me. So I'm gonna do and I don't have to check in. Why I gotta check in it?
Mm-hmm.
But how you gonna be with somebody, you know what I'm saying, and don't even respect the boundaries of your own relationship that y'all, you know what I'm saying? And so while I'm in agreement with you, like, go out, have fun with your girls, right? And again, y'all, let me just disclaim and just say I've never been married. And so this is what I think it should be, right? Yeah. Y'all are living the dream. I'm only, you know what I'm saying, over here just thinking about what it might be, right? But I would assume that as a married woman or even in a relationship, that's common
courtesy.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, boo.
Mm-hmm.
Do they still call? Hey, bae. I think that's what it is now. Hey, bae. I'm going to be out, a little later with the girls. We going to, this whatever, right? I'll be home later. I think that's just respectful. What do y'all think about that?
It is respectful. I mean, even if you were going out and you had a child at home, you say, hey, I'm going out. Mama be back. You don't tell them what time. Mama be back later on. You go, go to bed at curfew, and I'll be back when you'll see me when you wake up in the morning or whatever. Mm-hmm. So you will tell a child what you're doing because you want to set the expectation.
Right.
So it's about respect and expectation.
Right. I think some of that, like we always talk about not letting social media and outside influences dictate your behavior within your home and what works for you and your partner. But I just think we in this space of where it's all about control. Like if someone says, well, I got to check in and da-da-da-da-da-da. But then in the next breath, they have these expectations of the person they're with to do things that they're not willing to do.
Right.
Like, so it's almost like, okay, what are you saying? Like,
right.
Really, what are you saying? Like,
right.
what are we, if we're not, being kind, respectful to each other, like, what are we doing here? Where do we go from here? So it's some of this is just, I think people speak and they're providing like advice and they're like emotional, not intelligent, and that's what sometimes that's where they get all the information from. Social media is because it's on YouTube, because it's on social media, it's real. It's almost like, like your C-SPAN. No, that's just somebody's opinion.
Right.
About something.
And it's raggedy.
And and it's like, let me see, can you like at least do the resume in the lower thirds on the bottom so I can see like why they're an authority to provide feedback on what I need to be doing.
In my house.
Yeah, and she's sitting there with whatever.
With nothing.
A bonnet and
not a bonnet.
And all of that. Just leaning in. Like just what are you talking about? Where we going with this? So clapping her hands while she's talking. So I
hate you for all the visuals because I saw all of it.
Like, okay. Thank you for your opinion.
Right.
Scroll up.
Right. Keep scrolling. No, that's absolutely good. I don't know how much time y'all spend on social media, right? But before Dear Future Husband, and especially since Dear Future Husband, the things that I see out there blow my mind, right? And as somebody who is single and who has dated, right? I may not have ever been married, but I have dated. And as somebody who's been in the dating world, some of these things just blow my mind. Like some of them is just common sense things that's just like checking in, like, okay, tell your dude like you're gonna be a little late. It's not that deep, right? Mm-hmm. And then some of the, it's just some wild things, y'all. It's some wild things that I have learned on this ride. Okay, so what kind of tips would you give women who, I guess, are looking to be where you guys are at, right? So looking to be married 31 years, 16, 11 years. What would you say has gotten you up until this point? What have you learned? What would you tell your younger self and or, again, somebody that is looking to be where you're at? What would you tell them?
Probably to a few things.
Okay.
I'll be brief. And
no, you don't have to. Go ahead.
No response is a response.
Okay.
Like, I just think sometimes in the midst of all the conversations and how people feel, especially your partner, they're bringing in all the stuff that they grew up with. You're bringing in all the stuff you grew up with. And then you're creating this space and you guys are trying to navigate that together in your own lane, right? So I think it's very important to not, and I've had to grow into this, like, you don't have to react to everything.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to respond to everything.
Mm-hmm.
You really have to pick your battles, right? Because every day is not gonna be awesome. You know, I think it's very important to also, as a woman, it's very important for you to have, you know, your own thing, right?
That part.
Because
yes.
I think a lot of times, like, if a woman doesn't have her own thing, like a career or things that are important to her, like, what does happiness look like to you individually without your spouse?
Mm-hmm.
Because if you don't, then it's almost like you're looking for that person to validate you. Mm-hmm. You're looking for them to create happiness for you, and you got to figure out what that is for yourself, because it's not fair to have your husband, partner, carry that load too. Like, they can't be all things,
right?
You know,
for
they
you.
can't
right.
for you. They
right.
can't. It's just it's not fair. It's not appropriate. It's not something that you can sustain at all. So like, I pray for my husband more than I pray for myself, because you get, as a black man, they going out in this world, and what I see and what society sees is two different things. Yeah. You know, and they want us to go out there and just act a fool. Yeah. They looking for it. Yeah. Right. So I constantly just pray God puts the right people, things, situations in his path. Yes. And what we do is align to what we're supposed to be doing. Absolutely. Right? Absolutely. Because it's a lot. You know, so I would just say, telling myself is like, have your own lane, right? Have your own goals. You got to, you have to have it. Like, it's not an option, because we tend to, like, as women, we're nurturers. Yeah. So we will not even, my husband never asked me to put my dreams or anything to the side and you're just going to support me, and I'm like, okay, Ike. Mm-hmm. He never asked me to do that. But I feel like components of me, I did that because I felt like that's what I was supposed to do. Mm-hmm. He never asked me to do it. Mm-hmm. And then, so you have to really be careful about not losing yourself. Okay. As you grow. Because some stuff you guys will grow and evolve together, and some things you're going to have to do the work on your own and figure that out for you. And put that back out there in the universe. There you go. Yeah. I like that. That's good stuff. Okay, Kendra?
Okay. I mean, it's just piggyback on what she said. One of the things that I have learned is that you have to, like she said, define your own marriage. Mm-hmm. When I first got married, I didn't know how much of my friends had an influence on me. Okay. And so I was still trying to incorporate my friends and my marriage and his friends, all of us all together in this one household. And that was too many people.
Break that down for me. How? Like, give me an example of how you were trying to do that. What does that look like?
What you talking about? All the
incorporating, like, still having your friends be involved in your, in your marriage.
Okay, because I can give you an example. Okay. I was mad at my husband, so therefore my friend called me and I vented. Mm. And so when I vented, she was like, well, you need to tell him this and you need to tell him that. And then I came down off my high of being mad with him and started listening to her. And I wasn't going to act on what she was saying. I said, oh, I shouldn't have said none of this to her, because now she done took you're mad and you're in the moment. And so she's taking it to another level, like, oh, wait. I'm just venting, and I'm just, I'm not saying this to her, but I'm listening to what she's saying. And so at that point, when I get angry or what have you, I try to make sure that I need to communicate that to him first. And then I won't have to vent outside. And then you're still gonna vent. And when I mean venting, you're looking for answers. You're looking which way, as a woman, as a righteous woman, am I supposed to act towards, you can't do that no more, you know what I'm saying? So
Deep opinion though.
so how do I develop this communication skills,
Right.
you know what I'm saying?
Right.
You don't want to be stupid, ignorant, or disrespectful. Yeah, I was disrespectful one time to my husband, and that was the last time I was disrespectful.
Okay.
Only because of his response. He was like, "Oh, we don't do that. We don't do that." So I felt like a child when he corrected me. So I said, "Okay, I won't do that no more."
You don't like that feeling?
No, I didn't feel like, I don't feel like, I'm not a child. So he said, "Oh, we don't do that. No, I don't do that to you. You don't do that to me." So,
which is fair. Okay. Okay. Sharita,
What was the question? No.
I was like, how we get here? What advice can you give to your younger self or somebody looking to be 31 years in?
Okay, because I got to go way back.
Yeah.
Well, I would say that because I was so young, I thought that marriage was going to be like a Disney fairy tale movie. Because that was the frame of reference that I had. Because my mother wasn't married and my husband's mother was not married either. And so we really didn't have any frame of reference other than what we saw on television. So in my mind, I always thought, well, and they lived happily ever after, right? Because that was, what I saw.
With no fights and no disagreements, no nothing.
Disagreements, no
holding
bills
hands
to pay,
and skipping.
You know what I mean? And that kind of thing. And so what I would tell my younger self is that a happily ever after is not going to be like a Disney movie, and that's okay. That's okay. It's not going to be anything like that. There will be a happily ever after, but it's not going to be the way that you think it's going to be, because it's not going to be the way that it's portrayed in the movie.
Yeah.
It can be happily ever after, but every day is not going to be this romantic, thing where we're just gazing into each other's eyes every day and nobody gets sick, nobody loses a job. The children don't need to be taken places. There's not, there isn't any laundry that needs to be done or kitchens to clean or errands to be ran and that kind of thing. Because in my mind, that was the frame of reference that I had. Yeah. Because, that kind of, we didn't really see that kind of thing in the Disney fairy tale. Everybody just lived happily ever after. And we didn't know.
We didn't see real life.
We didn't see the real life, like how did things get done? And then it's like, once you get into this marriage, now we have all of these things that need to be done. So I would say that the thing that worked for us is that we see ourselves as a team, and we know that there are a lot of things that need to be done in order to make our life work and make things move forward. And we don't have this attitude of like we have these traditional roles, and you have this role as the husband and you have this role as the wife. We just kind of look at it as like there are a lot of things that need to be done. There are things that I'm good at. There are things that he's good at. And we just both try to make sure that everything gets done, as part of being on the team. So since we have decided as a couple that we're both going to work outside of the home, we both decided that as a couple we're going to work in the home. Okay. So that means that, my husband did all the things. He did laundry, he cleaned, he cooked, he took kids to school, he picked kids up, he took kids to the doctor, he took kids to dental appointments. He never assumed that those were like, because I'm the wife, that those were the things that I needed to do. Right. We just always communicated with each other on the things that needed to be done. Okay. And there are certain things that I do well that he doesn't do well and doesn't want to do. And there are things that he does well that I don't do well and that I don't want to do. Right. And so, we each do the things that we're good at. The other thing is we do the basics. I feel like we do the basic things very well. We don't cheat on each other. Right. We don't put our hands on each other. We don't disrespect each other. We don't do things to intentionally hurt each other. And if we do hurt each other, by accident or whatever, we apologize for for hurting each other.
Mm-hmm.
So we try to do the basic things. There are things that we each like. We try to provide each other with the things that we each like.
Okay.
Also, like Selena was saying, my husband and I both have our own professional and personal interests. We have our own friend groups. We each have things that we like to do separately, and we have things that we like to do together, and that's okay. We don't smother each other. We allow each other to be who we are and to be interested in the things that we're interested in apart from each other, and we have things that we like to do together.
Okay.
And so we feel like that's okay. We try not to have any like outside influences on what we feel like works for us. I think early on when we were young, sometimes we would let people like tell us different things about, well, as the husband, you should do this, or as the wife, you should do that. And we were taking advice from people who had never had successful relationships ever, and had never been married before. But because we were young, they felt like they could just tell us anything. And so the first, couple of years, we had to become husband and wife. So we had to like get our own, rhythm amongst us. But I will say one of the things that we always knew, like from the very beginning, like even before we got married, we always knew that we cared for each other. We cared about the things that each of us cared about. And we knew that we wanted to be together. And so we were just willing to do the things that we needed to do in order to make each other happy. And in order to make that happen.
Yeah. And so what I like, I like a lot of the points that all of you guys said. Sharita, I don't like lawn work, and I do not like to register the car. I don't like to get it inspected and or registered at all. I'm a lawyer, and I get more tickets than I should for not having a registered vehicle. Don't follow my example, y'all. I know how to get out of them. But that's not the point. So these are things that I just know that whoever comes into you have got to do the cars. I want to get in the car and I want to drive it.
That's all I want to do.
I don't want to gas it. I don't want to register it. I don't want to inspect it. I just want to. I don't want to oil change it.
Oh, get in.
I don't want to do the tires. None of that. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to get my hands dirty. I want to drive it. And so these are certain things that I know. And I don't want to cut the yard. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to do all that. I don't care if we hire out, but I don't want to be the one physically behind the mower pushing it. I know this. I'm very clear on what these things are. So I like the fact that you said not only things that you are not good at, but things that you don't want to do either. We all have things we just don't want to do.
Yeah.
You do them when you have to. When I'm single, I have to get my car registered and gas it up and do all that. You know what I'm saying? But somebody coming in, that's gonna be my thing.
I just think that people need to do whatever works for their relationship, and
Yes,
stop listening to outside people.
Right.
My husband and I have a couple that were extremely happy. I mean, they were very happy. They had children together, and they had been married a while. They started going to this church together. And this story that I'm about to tell is not necessarily about the church per se. But they started going to this church, and the people in the church started telling them basically how their marriage should go. Like, because he was the husband, he should do certain things. Because she was the wife, she should do certain things. And then he started, like, the husband in this couple, he started to change to the point where he started treating her differently. And started treating her like he was more like trying to control her and trying to lord over her. Whereas before they started going to this church, he never treated her that way. Okay. When I tell y'all like they were the couple. Okay. They were just extremely, happy with each other.
Hashtag goals.
Yeah. I mean, they were happy with each other. Their children were happy. And after they started going to this church, their relationship just went all the way down in the dumps to the point where they actually got a divorce.
Because of outside
influences on each other.
Yeah.
And I'm like, they just started treating each other differently than they had ever treated each other before, because these people were telling them, different things. And like they were going through these counseling sessions with the pastor when they started having these problems.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like the counseling sessions just made it worse. Like
Wow.
it didn't make it better. It just like made it worse, because it just completely changed the dynamics of their relationship.
Okay. Okay.
They used to be real fun loving, just, joking with each other and just doing what they needed to do to make sure that their kids were taken care of and to take care of each other. And they went to this church thinking like, this is going to elevate our relationship to a different level,
Right.
but it ended up
breaking them apart.
It ended up breaking them apart.
That's crazy, because
it really did.
People don't realize how much outside influences could really, like, people, it could really change your life, right?
Yeah,
if you're taking it in. And I like, to your point, what you're saying is, even if you are going to go outside, because there's nothing wrong with therapy, right? But even if you're going to go outside your relationship to get help, be careful on who it is that you choose to get help from. And I think that's something very, very important. Y'all, let's change directions a little bit. Fighting. Let's talk about it, because I refuse to believe that healthy relationships don't have an argument or two, right? I refuse to believe it at some point in your life, in your relationship. Did you have to learn to fight?
Yeah.
Did you you have to learn to fight?
Yeah.
And how to fight fair, right? That's the thing. How to fight fair.
Learning to
And still learning.
Right.
Yeah.
Let's talk about it. Who want to go first? Kendra? I ain't got you first.
Well,
yet.
I already told you about he had to correct me, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there you set boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
That's one. You set boundaries. You always try to, and when I do say try, you stay on what's at task. What are you arguing about? You can't go back to when you did this the last time 2 years ago, because we have excellent memory as far as argument and how you did me wrong and
how I felt when you said that.
Yes. And what did you mean by that? And he's like, what are you talking? So is there's that boundary where you stay on task on the argument at hand. If you stay on task with that particular argument, you won't have that resentment or that past feeling. So you stay on task. And that's just one.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. And so this is something that you had to learn within your 16 years of marriage, right?
Well, I learned it from my mama, who didn't stay on task.
Okay.
Yeah, she stayed on so arguments would be all day long.
Because you're bringing up everything.
Yes, my mom bringing up everything. And so it would never get settled. The argument would never get settled, because you bringing up old stuff when we're not tasking. We're not. With my mom now, I have to say, Mama, wait. I don't know about that. Let's. What we doing right now? What we doing today? What are we talking about today? So it's being on. I learned to be on task, and it has helped so much as far as if whatever you're arguing about, let's settle that. Get a resolution if you can, because you can't resolve everything. Some things you just not going to agree on. That was another thing. But
you have to agree to disagree.
Yeah, some things you're not going to agree on. You just not.
And you got to be able to be okay with that.
Right.
That there's not going to be a resolution.
There's not.
Yes.
That's not. You see, there's not going to be a resolution
there's not
to
gonna
it.
be a resolution
Not
to it.
at this time. Maybe tomorrow. Maybe a year from now. But not today.
Not right now. Okay. I like that. Those are very two excellent pieces of advice. So I like that. Especially, and I'm taking this in, y'all. I forgot we was doing a show. So I'm taking this in myself, because this is really good things to know, Sharita, what about you? Did you have to learn how to fight?
Oh, I didn't have to learn how to fight, but how to fight fair.
Fight fair.
Yeah. My husband and I are both two strong-willed, people trying to share the same life together. So of course there's going to be, disagreements between the two of us, but we always try to look at the thing that we're disagreeing about.
Okay.
Is it something small, or is it something that's fundamental?
Okay.
to who we are to be arguing about. Because certain, if you're two grown people trying to share a house together and share a life together, of course you're going to have disagreements. You're going to have disagreements about how you think certain things should be done, or whether certain things should be done.
Right.
But some of those things are so small that they're not even really worth arguing about and staying mad about.
Okay.
Because it's just too small of an issue. Like, my husband doesn't like the way that I load the dishwasher. Right? So that is a disagreement that we're gonna have. But that's a small thing.
Right.
You know what I mean? I may be loading the dishwasher and he'll pass by sometimes and he'll just start switching things around in the dishwasher because he doesn't like the way that I load the dishwasher.
Okay.
Now, in that situation, I could get mad and say, well, if you don't like the way that I load the dishwasher, then you just load the dishwasher. You know what I mean? And so, but to me, I see loading the dishwasher as a small thing.
Okay.
Right? It's a small thing. And if it means that much to him, then, I'll switch it around however he wants it to be switched around, because loading the dishwasher and how it's loaded is it's a small thing for me. Like,
right.
It's not a big issue for me. So I don't get, all huffy and, puffy and stay mad for, 2 or 3 days. But there are certain issues that may be fundamental to you that you really, really care about, and it's like a big thing.
Yeah.
And so when it comes to those kinds of things, I think that, there needs to be a conversation about that.
Okay.
At a time when everybody's not heated and upset about that issue. You need to wait until
take a pause.
You need to take a pause.
Come back to it.
And come back to it.
Circle back.
You need
I like that.
You need to circle back to it because it's an important issue to you.
Mm-hmm.
And if that person really cares about you, then they're going to listen to what you have to say about it, right? Because the issue is that important to you.
And
so
I
you need to try and come to sometimes you can come to a compromise on that. And so I find that a lot of times the big issues are surrounded around big things like, how the children are raised, or, how the children are disciplined,
bills.
Or, and bills to me is kind of
finances is a big thing for a lot of people.
It's a big thing for a lot of people, but I guess for me, it's not. I handle the finances. So for me, and my husband and I are both self-employed. So, for me, the money issue is not, that big of an issue, for us, but it is a big issue for a lot of people. It is a big issue. And I think that because sometimes in a relationship, you'll have one person is a spender, the other person is a saver.
Right.
Okay. So that's gonna cause a really big conflict. And so in those situations, you need to pause at a time and come back to it at a time when everybody's not so heated about the issue, and explain why this is important. Why is this important? And if the person really loves you and cares about you, they're gonna listen. To what you're saying, and you're gonna try and compromise.
Sharita, I like what you're saying about that, because especially for me, I don't know about anybody else, but when I'm emotional and I'm in it, it is hard to take a beat and circle back at a later date when I'm not I'm in it. I want to fix it. I want to tell you how I feel about it now.
For sure.
And so that's a learned skill. It would be for me anyways. And it's something that I'm still admittedly working on, I want to talk about it right now. Right now. You know what I'm saying?
And it's not really not good sometimes to talk about it
right now. When your emotions are up and you're not even thinking clearly, and you just, So I like what you said. Selena, what you thinking?
I agree with what everyone has shared. I think for me, just to add on, it's like the conflict management piece, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because that's one thing at the core of maturity, is what you are going to engage in, what conversation you're going to engage in, and when. And you get to decide, like, okay, so you in a different space right now. I'm not going to engage, right? And you don't have to, like, sit there in it, because for me, words are very powerful to me.
Yes.
So I get that somebody's like, oh, I was just mad, I say things when I'm emotional. I get it. But once certain things come out your mouth,
you can't
sometimes you could be sorry about it later, but you put it out there.
Yeah, you
did. So of course, somewhere that's how you feel. And that doesn't mean I'm going to receive it well, right?
Right.
You know, because, you know, we're all strong, especially women, you know, we're strong, but that doesn't mean it doesn't chip away at, you know, your heart or your emotions and this and that. So I try my best to just, to like Sharita's point, like, you know, picking your battles, right?
Yeah.
And the one thing, you know, when you have children, they take a front seat to how you deal with conflict. It's not what you say, it's what you do, right? And so I try, you know, to just be mindful of, okay, is this worth the effort? Like, really, how much do I care about this? Or, you know, if there's a trend and something keeps happening and it's kind of disrupting you a little bit, you know, there's nothing wrong with having that conversation. That person may, to Sharita's point, they may, like, you know, want to shift and change a little bit because they care. But at the end of the day, that person has to be convicted. You know, not because I'm this upset to my spouse, but this probably ain't the right thing to do. Let me be better. Let me be better in this situation.
Do better.
Yeah, because you don't want people doing stuff because they want to, per se, to me, make you happy, because it's not sustainable. It'll just be that in that moment, right? You but that doesn't mean they're not gonna hear you. They're not receiving it. They're not doing their internal work. You know, because I'm you and I have the same personality around, like, if I get into it, then it's like I want to know we need to be resolved right then and there. Like, I need to have this whole conversation right then and there on my timeline. Even while you walking away, I'm still following you, talking, knocking on doors. I know you in there. Open the door.
Open the door.
Right. So beating on the door, because we all, like, psychologically, the way we were brought up. You know, for me, you know, I don't like a bunch of hollering. I don't like that. But that doesn't mean that's not how somebody else expresses themselves, because they had been brought up in a different way. So it's different. The way you manage conflict, you know, is different for each person. What's comfortable for each person. So to me, I just feel like you really kind of have to pick your battles, and then you have to, everything all the time can't always be a problem.
Okay. Excellent advice, ladies. Excellent advice. Y'all doing the work on this couch today, okay? Y'all are giving it to the people. All right, y'all. We're going to go ahead and wrap this up because it's almost lunchtime, okay? But before we do, give one tip, one short, concise tip to the people on marriage and anything, and any, you know, subject that you want it to be on marriage. Give one tip that you're going to leave with the people. All right, Sharita, one tip. Short and sweet.
Be kind to one another.
I love it. Kendra.
Take your spouse's feelings seriously.
Oh, I like that. Selena.
In the midst of it all, remember, he is somebody's child.
That part.
You know.
Yeah.
And he's somebody's child.
Yeah.
So, and you know, you might be the most loving thing he's ever experienced in his entire life. So you have to, I just have to remember that, you know.
Yeah.
Even while I'm standing over you while you're sleeping.
That part. All right. And so, with that being said, y'all remember to subscribe to Reality TV 1 on YouTube, okay? I want to see you clicking the subscribe button and supporting your girl, all right? This has been an amazing show, ladies. I appreciate y'all so much for being on.
Thank you for having us.
Yes, ma'ams. And then I appreciate you guys for watching. And until next time, we'll holla at you. Bye, y'all.
Bye.